Hey, thanks for clicking on one of our videos. If you're a Baylor fan, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell if you want to join us for a live stream soon. This is Please Bear With Me. Enjoy. We're going to end the show this way. Something that bonds us as friends outside of Baylor and football and faith and some of those things that we talk about. We are both like huge nerds, if I can say so. Like, we are both huge nerds. And speaking of teams, we love one team in particular. We are both comic book nerds, and we love the MCU, the Avengers. You and I swap text every year. Every time a big MCU movie comes out, we're swapping text. And they made headlines this week. They had that 5-hour like promo about Avengers Doomsday. They had like 26 chairs in a row. Freaking Ian McKellen's on one of them. It's like crazy. Like they're trying to get everyone hyped for the next Avengers movie. So I asked Terrance to close the show today. We'll do something a little different. We'll get out of football just a little bit. Your top 5 MCU movies. So just to qualify, that doesn't mean Marvel movies, because like Spider-Man 2, Sam Raimi would be on my list, but that's not an MCU movie, right? We just MCU, Marvel Cinematics. So starting with Iron Man into present day, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. What are your 5 favorite movies? I think there's 30 some odd of these movies now, Terrence.
Yeah.
It's crazy how many there are. And let's, you want to put yours up first or mine?
Yeah. We can walk through yours first.
All right, let's walk through mine first. That sounds good. Here we go. These are my top 5 MCU films. Number 1, and I'm a little fresh because I just started my rewatch of this movie the other night. I, in one breath, will tell you I understand the criticisms of Avengers Endgame. I do not think it is a perfect film. However, it is such a good ending to the saga to that point. I thought it really threaded the needle on a very difficult story to conclude and did it about as well as you can. And I was rewatching it this week. I got about halfway through earlier this week, and I was just struck by, wow, this was a perfect conclusion to this huge saga. And it is the most fun I've ever had in a movie theater, was watching Avengers Endgame. It was a blast. So that's my number 1. Number 2, I think Captain America, the Winter Soldier is like a 10 of 10 action movie, period. Like, it's one of the very few Marvel movies I could pull out of the MCU and still love it. It's just a great action film. I do think the Captain America trilogy is probably the strongest trilogy of films within the MCU. Winter Soldier stands out for me. Avengers Infinity War is number 3. I do understand all the people that say it is a better movie than Endgame. It is certainly shocking. That is another movie theater experience I'll never forget. Iron Man, for me, I keep wanting to say it's not top 5, but it just is. Like, that's the one that started it all. It was a huge risk when the studio did it. Marvel needed that movie to make, or they were going to have to sell all their properties. And Jon Favreau and Robert Downey and all those guys made a heck of a film. It's the origin movie that now every superhero movie tries to be, but does not do as well. And of course, like, Robert Downey as Tony Stark is just a singular, all-time good fit, good casting character. Great. I mean, we think Tony Stark just is Robert Downey Jr. Like, it's perfect. Yeah. And then Black Panther, number 5, like, you can't deny every way that movie was a success. Culturally, Oscar recognition, which is so rare for superhero movies, soundtrack, action, Michael B. Jordan just turning in like probably the best villain performance in the MCU. All due respect to Josh Brolin playing Thanos, but like, really hard to put any villain in the MCU over Killmonger and the way he performed that role. So that is my top 5. And before I get your comments, Terrence, I'll just say I really wanted to get a Guardians movie in here. I think all 3 Guardians movies are borderline top 10 for me, but I just could not justify putting any of them in this one. And the other one that I was really sad to leave out, I loved the movie theater experience of Spider-Man No Way Home. I loved the experience of seeing that movie, but I think that movie is really shoddy on its own. I think it only works because you get the legacy actors in there playing their parts, and it's just fun to watch. But anyway, those were my thoughts. That's my top 5. What do you think, bro?
Listen, I love your top 5. When I look at Endgame, you are spot on. It is the perfect ending of 22 some odd movies. It How they did it, it was great. I didn't think it was the best movie of the Avengers, but I love the ending. And then the final fight scene, I mean, I think it's 40 minutes long. It was just all the feels, people coming back, chasing. Does he really have it? Just all the stuff that made it a great film. And then Winter Soldier, you know, when that movie came out, it was by far my favorite Marvel movie.
Mm.
It been with Bucky, it was like it topped, and there was no, I don't care. The first Avengers was a great ensemble. It didn't do it. Like Winter Soldier and Captain America was my favorite movie for a long time. And other these are great. This is a great list. My list looks a little like this and different in some areas. I think Infinity War is the best movie that they ever had. I thought the everything at stake. Thanos, we're seeing Thanos up real. He's the best villain I've ever seen. Ever. I mean, the punchlines. I thought Ultron was a great villain as well. That's why he rounds out my top 5. And then when you think about Ultron, that movie sets up a lot of the future where people really don't, understand. And man, it's just a phenomenal movie to rewatch, and it's probably my favorite Avengers movie to rewatch. But Infinity War was obviously the best show, and it tops my top 5. Civil War, it should be an Avengers movie itself with all the people coming to it. That's where we get to see.
Yeah, the criticism of that movie is that Robert Downey Jr. has the most screen time in a Captain America movie.
Yeah,
because it really is an Avenger. It is Avengers 2.5, totally.
Yeah, it should have been an Avengers movie. But we get introduced to Black Panther. We get introduced to Spider-Man, and then obviously Ant-Man makes an appearance as well. Black Panther, what you said, the cultural representation, the music, the wardrobe, the scenes, everything about that movie made me super proud to be a part of that community, and I just loved it. Thor Ragnarok, probably uh, outside of Black Panther, the best standalone film of a superhero. I try to get Guardians of the Galaxy in there. I love those movies. A movie that doesn't get a lot of credit for Doctor Strange, the first one, was a really good movie, but it doesn't top these, in my opinion, these 5. And these are my top 5. And if I had to go to 6, 7, I would have did the Winter Soldier and then Endgame to round out some of the similarities. Iron Man, I cannot take anything from it. I respect that you have it in your top 5. It started this marathon of movies, and if it's not a hit, I agree. It would have been very shaky. I mean, look what they did with the standalone Hulk movie. It was okay, right. But it wasn't a hit, and they needed to make a couple of more Iron Mans that just continued to blow up. That third one was a little iffy, but by that point, like, we were all hooked into the universe that Marvel was creating, and man, what a fun ride. So with this latest event that they hosted, people talk about MCU being dead. No one really want to watch it anymore, and millions of eyes on a screen just to watch someone name on the back of a chair lets you know the MCU is right in the best position to continue to move forward. And I look forward to what the Russo brothers do with the next 2 Avenger movies. There's a couple movies that come out between then and now. I'm okay on them. I'll go watch them. Thunderbolts looks like it's going to be a fun movie. Fantastic Four looks like it's going to be a fun movie, but I'm really really looking forward to the next Avengers movie.
Yeah, me too. I'll tell you, I am personally very excited for Fantastic Four. I think that's That's a property that still has not gotten a fair shake at the movie theater. That if they do it right, it's going to be phenomenal. I think. I mean, there's a reason those characters were bought. First. I mean, those characters were bought away from Marvel at the same time as Spider-Man was, is because the thinking was at the time the three most valuable properties they had were Spider-Man, X-Men, and Fantastic Four. And we've gotten good Spider-Man and good X-Men. We have not gotten good Fantastic Four. I'm really excited for that film. Here's what I want to say to your list, dude. I want to give your list credit. Something I decided in the last year or two, Age of Ultron and Civil War are both movies that when I saw them at the time, I was like, that underperformed for me, both of them. I left the theater going, I wanted more. But when you watch it back within the context of the whole, you're correct. You said this about Ultron. They are great at setting up what had to happen next. And so in the arc of all the films, they work so well. And I thought just a masterstroke in writing in both of them. So I will give you that. And then here's the thing I always say about Iron Man, the movie. I just talked about Fantastic Four. You realize Iron Man came out less than a year after the Silver Surfer movie.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Compare those movies back to back.
Yeah.
That to me, because the other superhero movie that came out in 2008 is The Dark Knight. And Iron Man and The Dark Knight are very different styles of superhero movies.
Correct.
And they are both phenomenal in their own right. But if you think about the fact that Fantastic Four Silver Surfer came out months before Iron Man, the elevation, and I know those were different studios, but the elevation is really incredible. Like what Favreau found, and Jon Favreau, like Iron Man 2 was a flop. Favreau's had some misses, but Favreau single-handedly made the MCU possible. And I think he almost pulled the same stunt with The Mandalorian in Star Wars. And then, Star Wars has just completely lost its way, but we don't have time to get into all that.